One of the most common phrases I have heard incessantly repeated by neophytes since reviving the International Flat Earth Research Society is, "Flat Earth is stupid." Even though it was historically the consensus cosmology among literally every ancient culture, in modern times, the concept of a flat Earth has become synonymous with stupidity. Calling someone a flat earther is now meant to insult their intelligence, and carries the connotation of being incredibly ignorant. But is this an accurate stereotype? Is the idea of a level, stationary Earth really the epitome of idiocy? And are people who promote it really so utterly unintelligent? Modern mainstream science treats the current conclusions of cosmology and astronomy as settled, set-in-stone subjects with little room for dissent. The heliocentric globe theory is never admitted in academia as being theoretical, but rather taken for granted as a cornerstone of modern scientific knowledge. If Earth is not a spinning ball revolving around the sun, however, then nearly the entirety of modern science and the majority of modern scientists are proven to be either frauds or fools. Therefore, questioning the shape of the Earth is the equivalent of scientific blasphemy, and flat earthers the equivalent of scientific heretics. Is this treatment truly warranted, though? Testing ideas, challenging assumptions, and furthering knowledge through evidence and critical scrutiny is the very definition of the scientific method. Science encourages and requires dissent to clarify conclusions, and questioning established scientific norms is precisely how new discoveries are made. One of the forefathers of the heliocentric globe theory, Galileo himself, said, quote, "In the sciences, the authority of thousands of opinions is not worth as much as one tiny spark of reason in an individual man." In other words, science is not a democracy, and scientific authority is not derived from majority opinion or expert decision, but rather from reason, evidence, and experiments. Globe defenders often deny or downplay the amount of legitimate criticism presented by skeptics, but it is undeniable that there are a large number of valid objections to the heliocentric globe theory. Casually denying something deemed stupid and deferring instead to expert opinions without doing your own due diligence in carefully considering all arguments commits two logical fallacies. Firstly, mocking, joking, or otherwise dismissing something as dumb without presenting a logical reason why commits the fallacy of appeal to ridicule. Secondly, blindly believing in something simply because all experts agree commits the fallacy of appeal to authority. When it comes to many supposed proofs of the heliocentric globe theory, such appeals to authority are often implicit without being readily recognized. For example, citing NASA images or astronauts' testimony as proof of a globe are not admissible as scientific evidence because they are not readily repeatable. The average person will never experience the frame of reference required to confirm or deny such claims, so quoting them as proof of a globe is invalid and unsound reasoning. In my experience, most people calling flat Earth stupid actually have no idea what the term flat Earth implies, or what claims flat earthers actually make. For instance, many of them make wild assumptions about some kind of disk world floating suspended in space, and ask asinine tongue-in-cheek questions like, "Where's the edge? What holds up the disk in space? Or why isn't there perpetual daylight everywhere on a flat Earth?" Such comments show that these detractors have not done the slightest bit of research into the subject they are condemning, and thus reveal what they really find stupid are their own errant assumptions. By mixing their heliocentric outer space globe world indoctrination with false assumptions about what flat Earth actually means, they decide it must be dumb, and then close their minds to the possibility. Compare this with the average flat earther, all of whom received the exact same heliocentric globe education in school, but rather than assuming an alternative cosmology must be stupid or impossible, remained open-minded enough to engage with the material and learn a new perspective. Every flat earther I know fully believed the heliocentric globe theory taught at school and shown on television before doing their due diligence in researching the subject. Only after reading several books, viewing a number of documentaries, and then going out to personally perform their own experiments, do most people begin to realize that Earth is not a spinning ball. In order to learn anything new, it is an essential skill to temporarily suspend disbelief while taking in alternative information. Far from stupid, this ability is actually a key mark of intelligence. As F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote, "The truest sign of intelligence is the ability to entertain two contradictory ideas simultaneously." And as Aristotle noted, it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without immediately accepting or rejecting it. The majority of people calling flat Earth stupid have never read a book on the subject. If they had, and were humble and honest enough with themselves, they would be forced to admit that there are undeniably a large number of legitimate criticisms and unanswered questions surrounding the heliocentric globe theory. When I first began researching the subject myself, I was repeatedly surprised by the intelligence of the flat Earth authors and the cogency of their arguments. 19th century authors like Samuel Rowbotham, Thomas Winship, William Carpenter, Albert Smith, Lady Blunt, David Wardlaw Scott, and many others wrote extensively and convincingly on the subject, sparking a decades-long worldwide debate about the shape of the Earth around the turn of the century. Personally, I have an IQ of 143, graduated with honors from university with a double BA in philosophy and English, and am now a published author with books translated into 30 languages. Since writing my own books on the subject and interacting with thousands of readers, I have continued to be surprised at the high average intelligence of fellow flat earthers contacting me. Conversely, the average globe believers have continued to disappoint me with their constant unintelligent insults, snarky sarcasm, haughty hubris, errant assumptions, logical fallacies, lack of common sense, and closed-minded conclusions. Regardless of where you currently stand on the subject, we should all be able to agree that questioning science is quite literally how you do science. It is not stupid to challenge established scientific norms, and in fact, that is the only way scientific progress is ever made.